He jolted upright, breath sharp, back soaked in cold. His palms stung. When he opened them, rusted needles pressed against the skin, stuck from sleep or something darker. His shirt was stiff with dried blood, flaking at the creases. The quilt wrapped around his legs like it had been tucked there by someone else. The cabin door was wide open. He stared at the dark gap where warmth should have been. The stove was cold. No smoke. No light. Behind him. "You stitch with the same hands that left me crying in that barn." He didn't turn. He knew the voice. But the voice belonged to someone long buried by distance, silence, and time. "You ain't real. I'm cold." The girl stepped into view, barefoot. The hem of her dress dragged mud. Hair in twin braids tied tight with the kind of ribbon you'd find stitched into a Sunday quilt. She looked older, but her eyes hadn't aged a day. "You got blood on your chest," she said. "I know." "That's yours." "No." She stepped closer. "You remember me now?" "I remember a girl." "You ain't her." "Liar." He stood, quilt falling off his lap. His knees cracked like splintering wood. He staggered once. "I didn't leave you," he muttered. "You raised your hand. That's what matters." "It wasn't like that." "Didn't feel that way to me." She walked past him, right into his house like she never left. The floor creaked, the way it always did when someone small walked heavy. He followed. Inside was bare. No kettle on the hook, no boots by the door. The chair by the hearth was empty, but she dropped into it. "You been living out here like nothing happened?" she asked. He didn't answer. He picked up the needles from the porch, set them on the table. His hands were shaking. "You sewing again?" she asked. "No." "Then what's this?" She held up the half quilt from the shelf. Red thread. Uneven stitches. One square burned black. "Old piece. You stitched a fire into it." He stared. He didn't remember doing that. "You had a name for every square," she said. "Do you remember mine?" He sat, quiet. His eyes dropped. She stood and pointed. "That one's my mama's, green velvet, bottom left." "I know." "And that one's mine." A frayed piece of calico, pink faded to white. "I didn't know what they were gonna do." "You knew." "They said it was work." "They lied." He looked at her again, closer. There was a bruise on her forearm, faded to yellow, fresh cuts on her ankle, bandaged with old cotton. Her dress had his old quilting patches sewn in, crooked, urgent, stitched by survival, not craft. "You been sleeping out there long?" she asked. "Didn't mean to." "You always do things you don't mean to?" He didn't answer. She stood again. I walked over to the stove, opened it. Nothing but ash inside. "Are you hungry?" "I got coffee." He muttered, "That ain't food." She looked around, opened a drawer, found a tin of oats, poured it into a pot without asking, set it on the cold stove. "No fire." "Then get wood." He hesitated. She turned. "You forget how to live, or just don't want to anymore." He grabbed his coat and stepped outside. The wind bit. The sky is dull. No birds. Just the steady, quiet sound of her humming behind him. He chopped slowly. The rhythm of the axe was off. His grip slipped twice. By the time he came back inside, she'd arranged the room. The quilt was folded across the chair. The table cleared. The needles were gone. He set the wood down beside the stove. She lit it, fast, like she'd done it 1,000 times. Fire caught. The cabin warmed. He watched her move. "You gonna stay?" he asked. "Depends." "On what?" "If you remember what you did." "I remember plenty." "Then say it." He shook his head. She poured the oats into 2 bowls, sat opposite him. "Do you ever sleep after it?" she asked. "No." "Me neither." They ate in silence. Wind pressed against the windows. "You look tired," she said. "I am." "You got a bed." "Don't use it." She finished her bowl. "That quilt you wrapped yourself in." "Yeah?" "You made that for a baby girl in town. Never give it to her." "I didn't finish it." "She died before you could." He stared at the fire. "She was 5, the girl said. Her daddy drank too much. You knew. You still waited. I can't fix any of it." "Are you still stitching?" "No." "You stitched me into nothing." He stood, suddenly. The bowl dropped, cracked. "Don't say that." "It's true." He walked out. "Needed air." "I needed anything but this." She followed. "You left me there." "I didn't know they'd sell you." "They didn't. You did." He turned, face white. They said I had to pick one. I picked her mama. I screamed. He dropped to his knees, hands buried in snow. I heard you, he whispered. She looked down at him. The man who once held a needle like a weapon. The man who once wrapped women in warmth he never gave them. You stitched warmth for strangers, she said. You left your own cold. She walked back inside. The door creaked shut behind her. He stayed on the ground, fingers numb. In the trees, something moved. A second figure, a shadow in the pine, watching, waiting. He didn't look up. I didn't need to. He already knew. He turned slow. She stood barefoot in the dirt, arms hanging like nothing needed holding, braids tight, same as the day he last saw her, but older now, taller, and the hem of her dress was patched with crooked quilting scraps he once tossed to the floor. You ain't real. I was real when you sold me. I never... You raised your hand. That's all it took. He swallowed hard. Her eyes didn't blink. You left me with the man who burns girls' hair, she said. I didn't choose him. You didn't stop him. He stepped back, hand against the porch post. You were supposed to go with your mother. She screamed. They took me anyway. You don't understand how it was. I was the one inside the barn. The words landed sharp. He opened his mouth, but nothing came out. She walked past him, dress dragging dust, straight into the cabin like it was hers. He followed. The fire still burned low. She stood in front of it, rubbing her hands near the flame like she'd always lived there. You've been out here for a long time, he asked. Since they let me out. He leaned against the door frame. Why now? She turned, eyes dry. You stitched our names into cloth. Figured it was time to come pick mine up. You want something? I want you to admit it. I was scared. So was I. I was 11. Silence hung. She walked around the cabin, touching things. Not gentle. Not breaking anything either, just claiming space. You still drink that root tea? No. Still sew at night? No. She picked up the half-finished quilt from the wall. Same red thread. Same broken square. You started this when she died. He didn't answer. She held it up. This corner used to be Mama's apron. He nodded. She ran her thumb over it. Mine burned up. I kept a piece. You kept too much. He sat. You came here to hurt me? No. Then what? I came to give you time. For what? To tell the truth. I told you. Not to me. He looked away. Her voice stayed steady. You have till sundown, she said. He looked out of the window. The sun is still high. She moved toward the back room. Is that still my bed? He stood. You can't stay here. Then you leave. This is my house. You left me in worse condition. He didn't argue. She opened the door, looked inside. Sheets folded, dust is thick. Same pillow she used to cry into. She stepped in and closed the door. He sat at the table, rubbed the heel of his hand. The skin was cracked where the needles once stuck. Hours passed like sand. The fire died. He didn't move. She came out at dusk. No sound. Are you still silent? He asked. Only when it matters. She pulled a chair, sat across. Why'd you come alone? He asked. I'm not alone. He glanced at the tree line. Shadows long now. He saw no one. Are there others? There always were. She pulled out a folded paper from her dress, set it on the table. What's this? The names you sold. He opened it. Ink smudged, but clear enough. 10 names, all girls, all ages, one with a red X. Who marked that? She didn't survive. He stared at it. She leaned in. Your name's at the bottom. I didn't sign it. You didn't stop it either. He pushed it away. You think you can just walk in and decide who I am. You decided that when you left me crying in hay. I thought you were safe. You never checked. They sat quietly, crickets outside, wind on the boards. I was a coward, he said. I know. I tried to find you. They moved you. You didn't try hard. I buried your mother myself. I know. I cried when I did. She looked at him. First time all day. Soft. You cried after, she said. He nodded. She picked up the paper, folded it again, slid it back into her dress. Sundown's here. He looked out, orange glow slipping past the hill. What now? He asked. I leave. That's it? Unless you want to follow. Where? She stood. Where the rest of the names sleep. He stayed seated. You're not coming, she said. I don't deserve to. No. She walked to the door. Will I see you again? He asked. She paused. If you look in the mirror long enough. She left. He didn't watch her go, but from the porch, the wind brought the faint sound of feet. Not one pair, several, and none of them ran. She lit the stove without asking, moved like she belonged there, tied her braids back tighter, then reached for the skillet like she knew exactly where he kept it. Ain't no breakfast without firewood, she said. He stood still. She didn't look at him, just knelt to stir the ash like it was her own. He grabbed his coat, opened the door, and stepped out. The cold hit him hard. The air was thick, still. The horizon is pale like a bone. He blinked. Something moved in the trees. A glint. Sheriff's horse. The mare was tied to the post. Fresh prints in the dirt. He didn't hear him ride in. Morning, said the voice. The sheriff stood by the tree line, the hat pulled low, rifle slung loose across his back, chewing something slow. Are you quilting again? No. You got blood on your cuffs. Not mine. You sure? No. The sheriff nodded, like that made sense. He stepped closer. Have you seen that girl? What girl? Don't start. I've been here. She was at the mill last week, asking for names. Now she's in your kitchen. She was cold. Girls like her don't just come back. She did. The sheriff squinted. She tells you what she wants? No. Then why is she here? Same reason I'm still breathing. She threatens you. She doesn't need to. The sheriff stepped up to the porch, looked past him into the house. Is she cooking? Trying. The sheriff stared a moment longer, then turned, spat. She said your name was on the ledger. I didn't sign it. You were there. I watched. You raised your hand. I thought it meant something else. It always means what they want it to mean. He bent, picked up a piece of split wood, tossed it into the pile, then another. You gonna arrest me? The man asked. Should I? Maybe. Too late for some things, the sheriff said. Too early for others. They stood quiet. The wind moved. Trees held still. Inside, a pan hissed. The smell of eggs, slight burn. She got your scraps stitched into her dress, the sheriff said. She kept 'em all this time. I noticed. Her mother died screaming. I heard. She was there too. I know. The sheriff turned. You gonna finish the quilt? No. You already did. The man looked up. She showed me. Said you named each patch after a girl you watched disappear. I didn't name them. She did. You just stitched. He stepped back toward the horse. She said she's staying. She didn't ask. She doesn't need to. He swung into the saddle, clicked the reins. Sheriff, the man said. The horse paused. You remember the barn? I do. Do you think she forgives us? The sheriff looked down. She doesn't even say our names. And then he rode off. The man stood on the porch, holding the door, watching the trees. Inside, she had moved his chair, brought it closer to the window, cleaned the ashtray, rearranged the cups, pulled down his sewing box, and set it center on the table. He stepped in. Shut the door. You talked to him, she asked. Yeah? What did he say? Said you're staying. She stirred the skillet. Didn't look at him. Does he say anything else? Said you've been asking names. I have. Why? So they don't get forgotten. They're dead. They were girls. You think they remember us? I think they scream every night. He sat. I looked at the needle box. Threads still wound tight, like time never moved. The scissors were rusted shut. You gonna sew again? She asked. No. Then why'd you keep it? I didn't know how to throw it out. She set a plate in front of him. Burnt edges, cold center. He didn't eat. You eaten or not? Not. Then I will. She took his plate, sat across from him. Ate slow, no shame. Fork scraping tin. Are you always this quiet? He asked. Only when I'm waiting. For what? Sundown. He watched her hands, thin fingers, small cuts on the knuckles, a blister near the thumb, hands that stitched, worked, and bled. You remember her voice? He asked. No. She used to hum. She also used to scream. The fire cracked. He stood, walked to the back wall, lifted the quilt, ran his hand along the burned square. She stitched it with her eyes shut. I know. She was blind in one eye. I know. She bled through the final square. She was sewing me into it, she said. He turned. That was her plan. If they buried her, They'd bury me with her. She loved you. She didn't save me. You're here. I shouldn't be. She stood, walked past him, opened the door, and threw out the pan grease. Sheriff asked about the auction, he said. She stopped. He thinks I raised my hand. Did you? He didn't answer. She looked back at him. You have till sundown. She shut the door, picked up the thread. I started sewing. The hooves faded slowly into the trees. Dust settled outside. The cabin sank into a stillness that felt too deep to breathe through. She didn't speak, didn't move. He stood near the window, watching nothing. The needle slipped through the cloth. She hummed, low and even. Same three-note rhythm, over and over. He glanced back. Her hands moved steadily. The thread danced, red, darker than he remembered. Do you remember her? She asked. Who? My mama. He didn't answer. She sang in her sleep. Same tune. He looked at her. She used to cry through it. She thought no one heard. I did. You sewed her into a quilt once. I sewed scraps. Same thing. His hands itched. He looked down. Thread was wrapped around his fingers. He didn't remember picking it up. She stitched this dress too, she said. Before? Before. It's still holding. She ran out of good thread. He sat down across from her. Her eyes didn't lift. Where were you when they took her? She asked. I was in the barn. Doing what? Watching the fire. She screamed 3 times. I know. He pulled at the thread on his hand. It wouldn't loosen. His knuckle had gone blue. Have you ever dreamed of her? She asked. I don't sleep. Good. She hummed again. A bit louder. He flinched. You don't like it? She asked. It ain't the tune. What is it? There's another sound. She paused, needle frozen mid-air. What kind? Another voice, underneath yours. She tilted her head. Describe it. Like someone trapped. She looked at the quilt in her lap. A square near the edge was unfinished, torn lace. The border burned. She's still in this, she said. You don't believe that. I do. You think she talks through cloth? Clothes hold more than warmth. He stood and paced. The thread dragged with him, taut from the table leg to his wrist. You sewed in your sleep last night, she said. No, I didn't. I watched you. I don't remember. You hummed. He sat again, pressed his palm flat on the table. The needle box was open beside him, thread spools like veins. She used to tell me stories while she stitched, the girl said. Said every knot was a lie someone told her. Why don't you scream? I don't have time for noise. He reached for the scissors. They were stuck, rusted. She sang while she bled, the girl said. Don't. She looked for your face. I tried to help her. You watched her burn. I had no choice. You had hands. He slammed the scissors down. They snapped in half. Her needle didn't pause. You sew with blood now, he asked. Only when the thread runs out. He looked closer. The red thread. Too thick. Too dark. What is that? You know. Where'd you get it? She didn't answer. You bled for this? She did. He pushed back from the table. You're not right. She wasn't either. He backed toward the stove. The room felt too full. You hear her now? She asked. He did. The humming hadn't stopped, but she wasn't moving her mouth. I don't want this, he said. Too late. I can burn it. She already burned. He reached for the quilt. She slapped his hand away. You don't get to touch her again. He looked at her face. Her eyes were wet. You hate me? I buried her with a needle in her hand. She was trying to finish my hem. He sank to the floor. I thought I could make it right, he said. You stitched silence. That's all. The humming filled the room now. A low moan layered under her tune. He covered his ears. It didn't help. She forgives you, the girl said. He looked up. But I don't. She stood, folded the quilt slowly, pressed it to her chest like a child. Are you leaving? No. Then what's next? You sew. I can't. You can. He shook his head. You made the quilt that named her. You finish it. His fingers trembled. I don't have the thread. You will. She opened the door. Cold wind cut in. Where are you going? To listen. To what? She doesn't hum when I'm gone. She screams. She stepped outside. The door closed behind her. The thread snapped off his wrist. A single drop of blood fell on the table. And the needle started moving. Night pressed against the windows. The fire was low. He hadn't lit the lantern. She sat cross-legged by the stove, tapping her foot against the worn floorboards like she knew what was under them. "You buried her voice," she said, not looking up. "But I found it." He stayed in the chair, hands open in his lap, thread dust in the creases of his palms. "You gonna help?" she asked. "Help with what?" She knocked once. The hollow thud answered. "The hatch," she said. "Where you hide the ugly things. I won't go down there." "You used to." "I don't remember." "That doesn't change what's down there." She stood, crossed the room, and knelt beside the loose plank near the hearth. She pulled up the edge with her bare fingers. It creaked open. Dust rose like breath. He didn't move. She disappeared into the dark. Silence, then dragging. When she came up, the quilt was in her arms. It hung heavy, draped like wet fabric, stained in 100 places. "Here," she said. "I don't want it." She dropped it at his feet. "Finish it." He stared at the mess of fabric, patches torn from dresses, some scorched at the corners, one with a dried blood handprint, one with a name he hadn't said in years. "You stitched the first square," she said. "I don't remember." She pointed. "Courthouse ribbon. Right there. That was Marlene's." He flinched. "Marlene was your wife. I didn't put her in this. You stitched her silence into it." He looked down. One square had her initials. Hand done. His old style. "She made that herself," he whispered. "She gave it to you. You hid it." He touched it with 2 fingers. The thread was soft, worn from years in the dirt. "This ain't a quilt," he said. "It's a graveyard." "Same thing." She knelt beside it, spread it wider. A dress sleeve, a school sash, a baby bib, burned at one edge. "Where'd you get this?" he asked. "Under your house." "I never put that there." "You let it grow there." He shook his head. She pulled out a needle, threaded it fast. Red thread, same as always. She held it out. "I don't want to touch that." "You already did." "I can't fix it." "You're not fixing anything." "Then what am I doing?" "Finishing what you started." He stared at her. Her face had changed again, eyes sharp now, voice flat. "You think this matters?" he asked. "It does to them. They're gone. They're louder now than when they were alive." He stood, walked to the door, and opened it. Cold air swept in. He needed space. He needed— "You run, I'll burn it," she said. He stopped. "You burn it, and they stay buried," she added. "You sew it, and they breathe." He didn't close the door, just stared into the dark. "When she died," he said, "I kept her shawl. Slept with it for 3 winters. Then why ain't it here? Because I loved her. Then she should have been first. She didn't belong with the others." "She did." He looked at her. "You think I killed them?" "No." "Then why are you here?" "Because you watched." He sat back down, pulled the quilt closer, hands shaking. "Who's this?" he asked, pointing to a square of green velvet. "My mama. She wore this to church. First Sunday after she lost her tooth. She told everyone it was an accident. She lied to him. I knew. You didn't speak." "I was afraid." "So was she." They didn't talk for a while. He picked up the needle. "Have you ever sewed while crying?" he asked. "Every day." "It ruins the thread." "Number it tightens it." He put the needle through the first patch. "The courthouse ribbon." "Why'd you come back now?" "Because no one else did." He stitched, slow, careful, like they were watching. "What's this one?" he asked. She touched a black square with ash at the center. "Mill girl died in the fire." "I remember the smoke." "You sewed her apron into a lining once." "I didn't know her name." "She's here now." The quilt grew heavier with every stitch. His breath was rough, shoulders tense. She handed him another patch, torn lace, yellowed. "Whose?" "Don't know. Sheriff's ledger had her down as unclaimed." He hesitated. "Still deserves a place?" "They all do." He stitched. The lace frayed under the needle. "Do you ever talk to them?" he asked. "All the time." "Do they talk back?" "Sometimes." "What do they say?" "They remember how you looked at them." He dropped the needle. "Keep going," she said. "I can't." "You can." "I'm shaking." They were too. She handed it back. He finished the square. Then another. Then another. By morning, the quilt reached the edge of the table. It stretched wide, heavy, full. She stood and pulled it toward her. "You done?" He nodded. She folded it slowly. Careful. You made us all lie still, she said. Time to wake up. And then she placed the quilt by the door. Not like something discarded, like something waiting. The door creaked open before either of them stood. He walked in like he always did, hat still on, boots loud, face unreadable. His eyes went straight to the quilt stretched across the room. He stopped, didn't speak, just stared. The girl sat in the corner, needle in hand, thread between her teeth. The man stood slowly. Didn't hear you ride in. The sheriff didn't look at him. He stepped forward, stopped at the edge of the fabric. My sister's dress, he said. The man glanced at the patch. Pale blue, faded flowers, torn at the hem. She wore that to church the day Mama died, the sheriff said. The girl didn't blink. I didn't know it was hers, the man said. You stitched it. Not by choice. You still did. The sheriff stepped closer, reached down, touched the square like it was still warm. She said your hand went up. I didn't know. She was 13. She needed food. She needed you. The sheriff straightened, his jaw clenched. She never came back right, he said, after they sold her. I didn't. She wouldn't speak. I was trying to help. You helped them. The quilt rustled. The girl folded it back, careful, set the needle on the table. She stopped singing after that, the sheriff said. Used to hum, same as their mama. But not after. The man stepped back. I saw her once, the sheriff continued. Year later, hair cut off, dress too tight, black around her eyes like she never slept. I didn't know what they'd do to her. You didn't ask. I thought she'd be safe. You always think that. That safety doesn't need checking. The girl stood. I walked to the stove, poured water into a tin cup. The man looked at her. You gonna say something? She didn't. The sheriff nodded. That's how she talks. With fabric. With silence. I never meant for... She was a child. I was scared. So was she. The girl set the cup down, took the needle again, threaded it clean. She said you cried at her grave. The sheriff said. I did. She still died. The man turned away, rubbed his face. Your name's on the ledger, the sheriff said. I didn't sign it. You stood beside it. She was starving. She needed love. You handed her over like a sack of grain. I didn't know what else to do. The girl began to stitch, one square, one pull. She was the only good thing we had left, the sheriff said. Now I can't hear that tune without wanting to scream. The man faced him. You think I don't carry it? I think you buried it deep so it wouldn't scream back. They stood quiet. The girl kept sewing. You think this quilt means something? The sheriff asked. She does, the man said. You think it fixes anything? No. Then why finish it? So they're not forgotten. The sheriff stared at the cloth. One square was fresh, white with red thread. A date stitched in the corner. What's that one? He asked. She sewed it last night, the man said. Whose date? She didn't say. The girl looked up, then down, pulled the stitch tight. The sheriff stepped back. You know what happens when this gets out? He asked. I know. You'll run off. I deserve it. She might not get the chance to leave. She doesn't want to. The girl looked at him, then at the sheriff. You still carry your badge? She asked. He nodded. Then stitch something, she said. He blinked. She held out the needle. Pick a square, she said. He hesitated, then stepped forward, reached for a piece of cloth near the bottom, yellow gingham. My mama's apron, he said. Then you stitch it. He took the needle, hands stiff, threaded it clumsy, bent down. The man watched. The girl didn't move. The sheriff made the stitch. One line, shaky, crooked, but it held. The fire cracked low. He stared into it like the answer lived in the coals. Behind him, the girl whispered, You remember it wrong. He didn't turn. She stepped closer. You tell yourself lies so clean you think they're memories. He said nothing. She sat at the edge of the hearth. The needle was still threaded in her hand. Have you ever heard of it? She asked. Hear what? The bell. His eyes stayed on the fire. I hear it every time I shut my eyes, she said. It doesn't stop. He swallowed hard. It was hot that day, he muttered. Dust in the air, smelled like bread. There was no bread. There was, he insisted. The preacher's wife brought loaves, set them on the table like it was a picnic. No one ate, because no one was supposed to. She waited. I didn't go there for her, he said. I didn't go to buy anything. Then why'd your hand go up? I don't know. You do." He finally looked at her. "I saw your mother," he said. "In the back. She was bleeding, mouth busted, dress torn. She tried to stop them. She was on her knees. She was screaming. I looked away. You walked past her. I didn't think they'd take you. You watched them line us up. There was a girl, another one, small, hair matted. She was crying. I thought if I picked her, maybe they'd let her go. They didn't. No. They took her and me. I didn't know. You raised your hand." He shut his eyes. "You raised your hand," she repeated, softer. The bell rang in his head. One sharp clang. Long pause, then another. "I was standing in the back," he said. "Didn't want to be seen, but they called names. They read numbers. They called your mother's name, then yours. They called my weight." He nodded. "I remember your dress," he said. "Patchwork, crooked them, yellow thread. She made me wear it so I'd look like I belonged to someone." He looked down. "She thought it would protect me. It didn't. No." The fire popped. One ember dropped to the ashpan. "They lined us up like horses," she said. "Stood behind the church. The sheriff held the book. The governor's man held the gavel. I remember the gavel. Big wooden thing. He liked the sound. I raised my hand for the girl with the burned arm. She had no name. They called her Lot 4. You said you were helping. I thought if I showed I was willing." "You were." He winced. "I didn't know they'd take you next," he said. "But they did. I tried to speak. You didn't." "I tried." She turned her face toward him. "You watched them lead me away. You didn't move. There were men with guns. You knew them." He went quiet. "You remember what I said?" she asked. "No." "You looked at me, and I said, 'You brought a quilt for a girl who never got it.'" He breathed out slowly. "You were crying. First and last time. I didn't know what they'd do to you." "You did." "I didn't. They always do the same thing." The fire dimmed. He rubbed his palms together. "I didn't sleep that night," he said. "I didn't sleep for years. I dreamed of the dress, the one you wore. I bled through it. I still see it sometimes. Hanging on the line." She stared at the coals. "Have you ever felt it?" he asked. "What?" "The rope around your voice." "Every day." "You want to scream?" "No." "Why not?" "They don't deserve to hear it." He nodded. "They gave me coins after," he said. "For participating." "What did you do with them?" "Buried them behind the barn." She looked at him. "You want me to dig them up?" "No." "Are they still warm?" "No." "They ever were." He didn't answer. She set the needle down. "You tell yourself it wasn't me," she said. "I needed to believe that. Because then you're not the monster. I didn't see you. You saw the dress." He closed his eyes again. The bell rang. He flinched. "Why'd you come back?" he asked. "Because the quilt's almost finished." "What's it mean?" "It means they won't stay quiet anymore. And me, you get to sit with it." "Is that all?" "Unless you'd rather I leave it folded." He looked at the pile of cloth on the floor, the one she hadn't touched yet. "What's that square?" he asked. She stood, walked to it. I picked it up. A white scrap, torn at the edge. "No stitching?" he asked. "Not yet." "Who's it for?" She held it out. "You," she said. "You are still deciding what thread to use." He didn't take it. "You scared?" she asked. "No." "Then stitch." He reached for the needle, took the square in his hand. "What happens when I finish it?" "You'll know." He looked at the fire. The bell rang once more, and this time he didn't look away. The sun was barely up. She was already in the garden, kneeling in the dirt with his shovel, the same one he used last spring to bury roots, broken glass, and a dead fox he never told her about. He watched from the porch. "I planted tomatoes there," he said. She didn't stop digging. "Every spring," he added. "Same spot." She hit something hard. Metal. "You planted girls," she said. He stepped off the porch. The grass was damp. His boots sank. He stopped at the edge of the row, hands at his sides. "What are you looking for?" She didn't answer. She pulled up a rusted tin box wrapped in oilskin. Dirt clung to it like skin. "Don't open that," he said. She did. The leather creaked. Inside, a ledger, thick with damp pages, red thread holding the spine. She flipped it open slowly. Pages curled, corners blackened, names, ages, prices. He turned away. She flipped further. More names, some with dates, some with symbols. Then she stopped. Her finger pressed the paper. She read, Ada, 11, $45. Dark hair, burns on my left hand. He said nothing. She turned the page. Elaine, 22, worn teeth, 5 children, $15. She kept turning. Then her finger paused again. My name, she said. Right there. 8 years old. 2 ribbons, 1 broken sandal, $18. His voice came rough. I didn't write it, but you kept it. I was told it'd be destroyed. You buried it. I didn't want it found. You labeled us like livestock. It was a record. It was a sentence. She flipped back 2 pages. Her eyes scanned. There, she said. My mama, Lydia, age 26. My front tooth cracked. $40. Defiant. She spit on the governor's boots, he said. She screamed for me. He nodded once. She kept reading. Sheriff's name's here, she said. At the bottom. He signed it all. She said he was different. He was young. He wasn't quiet. No. She flipped one more time, then stopped. Marlene, she read. Underlined twice. He closed his eyes. Who's she? Don't say her name. The air felt heavier. She looked up. You loved her? He nodded. She was one of them. She volunteered. No one volunteers. She said she could help the others. From inside. She believed that? She was wrong. The girl stared at the double underline. She never came back, he said. They cut her tongue. She stitched her own mouth shut. The girl went quiet. She smuggled out scraps, he added, clothes with blood. Names, she stitched them into your coat. Yeah, you burned the coat. I couldn't carry it. She touched the name again. Why underline her? So I won't forget. You still did. He crouched beside her. I dream of her every time I sleep, he said. She didn't look at him. She sang like you, he said, low and quiet, like the sound knew shame. The girl turned a page. More names. One had a question mark. Who's that? She asked. We never found her name. She died? They all did. She stood, closed the ledger, held it to her chest. What now? He asked. She walked past him. He followed. Inside, she placed the ledger on the table, next to the quilt. You stitch from memory, she said. This is a memory. He nodded. You think I came here for revenge, she said. He didn't answer. I came here for that book. Why? So I could say their names out loud. She opened it again. Read the first page. One by one. She spoke slowly. Each name is cut like a rope. He sat, listened. She kept reading. Then she handed him the book. Your turn. He stared at it. I can't. You must. He took it. He turned to the last page. His own name, signed in red. No price, no description, just a mark. I didn't know I was in it, he whispered. You always were, she said, even when you looked away. He traced the line, then tore the page out, burned it in the fire, but the ink still stained his fingers. She folded the ledger tight and pressed it flat beneath her palm. Her eyes didn't move from his. Come see where the quilt ends. The sheriff stood at the door, hat in hand, jaw tight. He didn't ask where they were going. She stepped out first. No coat, just her patched dress and boots too small. He followed, slower. The man stayed behind, watching from the porch. He didn't speak. The girl led the sheriff down the side yard, past the well, through the tall grass, beyond the rusted fencing and the dogwood tree half dead from frostbite. They followed the creek until the old mill came into view. Thought this was boarded up. The sheriff said, It is. No one comes back here. They do now. He wiped sweat from his brow, even though the wind was cold. She stopped at the edge of the clearing behind the mill. The ground was uneven, soft in places, not wild, not tended, just wrong. Here, she said. He looked around. I saw nothing, just weeds and the leaning chimney of the broken mill wall. She pointed. There. He stepped forward, stopped. I looked down. Wood poked through the dirt, weathered, cracked, no names, just 3 shapes in the soil, long, narrow, humans. You knew about this? He asked. She nodded. Who told you? They did. He glanced back toward the path. No one there, just wind. She dropped the ledger in front of the first grave, kneeled, brushed away dirt from the edge of the board. This one was named Elsie, she said. 15. From the north side. She tried to run. They caught her here. He looked at the worn wood. She bled through the dress they made her wear, the girl said. He took off his hat, held it to his chest. She sang until her voice cracked. I didn't know. She moved to the second grave, brushed again. Lighter this time. This was Ruth, governor's pick. Said she was too stubborn. Took her teeth. The sheriff stepped closer. I remember her, he said. Used to bring water to the church. She cried behind the shed for 2 hours after they took her brother. He swallowed. She never saw him again. The girl stood and moved to the third grave. This one had no board, no marker, just earth, slightly raised. She didn't have a name? She might have. They didn't write it down. The sheriff dropped to one knee. How old? Couldn't have been more than 9. His shoulders shook once. His hand gripped the grass. She died the second day. He said nothing. The girl stared at him. You signed the ledger, she said. I didn't know they were buried here. You didn't ask. I was told they were transferred. You heard us scream. His head dropped lower. I didn't know what to do. You did nothing. He stood slowly, wiped his face. I thought we were helping them. You helped yourselves. I thought it would be food, shelter. It was chains. His eyes were wet now. She didn't look away. They cut my mother's back open with a branding iron, she said. Said she was too proud. I didn't. You watched. I didn't stop it. No. I should have. Yes. Silence, heavy and loud. She stepped toward him. I need you to dig, she said. What? You brought the names into that book. You can bring them out of this dirt. He blinked. You want me to exhume them? No. Then what? Mark them. With what? Wood, stone, thread. Doesn't matter. Just don't leave them blank. He looked at his hands. They shook. I can't undo it, he said. Then finish what you started. She turned and walked away. He stood there, alone, 3 graves behind him. He stared down at the nameless mound. The wind picked up. Leaves scattered across the dirt. He wiped his eyes, knelt again, and began to clear the brush. Slowly, carefully, like someone finally listening. She sewed the last patch with his name on it. Not his full name, just the one they used when they whispered about him. The one that sat in the corners of the ledger. 3 letters and a dash. He watched from the table. Her fingers moved like they always had. Fast, flat, unforgiving. She knotted the thread and cut it clean. Then she folded the quilt once, slow, carried it to the door, stepped out onto the porch like she was delivering a message, not fabric. He stood. Where are you going with that? She didn't answer. Don't do this. She unrolled the quilt and draped it across the railing. It stretched edge to edge, heavy with names, stitched grief, burnt lace, ribbon soaked in old blood. She walked back in, lifted the lantern off its hook. Please, he said. She didn't look at him. You can't, he said. I can. That quilt isn't yours. She stepped outside again, set the lantern at her feet, picked up the oil can. He moved toward her, stopped at the doorway. I helped you make it. You helped bury what it remembers. She unscrewed the cap. You want forgiveness? He asked. She tilted the can. I want to forget. Oil soaked through the fabric, slow and thick. The porch boards under it darkened. You stitched us into silence, she said. We'll burn louder than that. Don't light it. You don't get to sleep inside tonight. I never asked to. She lit a match, let it burn in her fingers. I thought I was saving you. He said. You were saving yourself. I stayed. You stayed too late. The flame met the edge of the oil. It caught like it was waiting. The quilt flared in one loud breath. Heat kicked back. He stepped back. She didn't. The fire moved fast, eating cloth, names, stitches. The smoke rose thick. The cabin groaned behind him. Wood sucked in heat. Nails creaked. She stepped off the porch. He stayed. You burn the truth. It doesn't vanish, he said. I'm not burning it to hide it. Then why? So no one sleeps under it again. She stood still. Wind tugged her braid. He looked at the fire. Patches curled. Red thread snapped. My name's on that quilt, he said. It always was. It ends with me. Number it ends with flame. The roof crackled. He backed down the steps. She watched the windows. "You want me to leave?" he asked. "No." "Then what?" "You watch." The fire reached the doorframe. Smoke pushed out the gaps. He coughed. She didn't flinch. "I buried the ledger," he said. "I dug it up. I marked the graves. They're not yours to mark." "I said the names." "You whispered to them." "I didn't kill them." "You didn't stop it." He looked at the sky. No stars, just smoke and ash. "The quilt is gone now, just flame on wood." She turned away. "I didn't raise my hand for you," he said. "You still raised it." "I thought I was doing good." "You thought wrong." The fire popped. "Was there ever a way back?" he asked. "No." "Why let me sew it then?" "So you'd feel what it holds." He sat on the ground, dirt cold, knees tight. "Are you leaving?" he asked. "No." "Are you staying here?" "No." "Then where?" "Somewhere without walls." The fire reached the roof. The cabin moaned. She didn't look back. He closed his eyes. Inside, something fell. The sound wasn't heavy, just final. She turned, started walking. He didn't ask where. He already knew. Ash still clung to the grass. Smoke trailed off the porch. The chair sat crooked near what was left of the doorway. She sat in it, hands folded in her lap, dress dusted with soot. Her boots were blackened at the toes. The cabin was gone. Just bones and ember. The sound of tires cracked the quiet. She didn't turn. The black car crawled up the path like it remembered the road too well. It stopped just short of the burnt steps. The doors didn't open right away. Then it did. A man stepped out slowly. Black coat, silver cane. His breath was short, but his eyes were sharp. She still didn't move. He looked at her, at the ruin, at the field. "Where's the quilter?" he asked. She didn't blink. "He's learning to sleep in dirt," she said. The governor clicked the cane once on the ground. "Do you think this changes anything?" "I don't think so. I stitch." He moved toward her. "I own this land." "Not anymore. I have the deed." So did they. He looked down at the ashes. "You burned it," he said. "Number it burned itself. You won't last here alone." "I never was." He smiled, slow and tired. "You think grief makes you strong." "Number just steady." He stepped past the porch. I looked toward the trees. There used to be a barn there. Still is, under the grass. He faced her again. "You stitched your name into history," he said. "I stitched the names you tried to erase." His gaze drifted to the chair she sat in. "I remember that one," he said. "He made it for the preacher's boy. It held through fire." He glanced down. "You're younger than the rest." "Not inside." "You lost someone?" "Many." He took a step closer. "You signed too," she said. "I did." "You still think you'd sign again?" "I would." "Then sit." He looked at the ground, found a stump, lowered himself slowly, set the cane across his lap. "You think I'm here to stop you? You're here because they told you I wouldn't speak." He nodded once. "You've been busy." "They were quiet too long." He looked at the sky. "I remember the auction." "So do I." "Your mother screamed." "She bled." "She hit a man with a branding iron." "She left me to live." "She didn't leave." "Number, she stayed too long." He rubbed his hand. "You think fire is justice?" he asked. "Number, fire is the truth." "Truth doesn't feed you." Silence didn't either. He looked back at the ruins. "He cried when he stitched," he said. "He cried too late. He tried to find you. He found himself instead. He kept your ribbon. He burned it." The wind shifted. A bit of smoke lifted off the porch. He cleared his throat. "You don't get to be proud of this." "I'm not." "You're still sitting. There's nowhere else to go." He studied her face. "Do you ever dream of her?" he asked. "Every time I close my eyes." "I do too." "Then why'd you bury her with ink?" "I didn't bury her. I stamped her." "You think that's different?" "No." She reached into her pocket, pulled out the ledger, laid it across her lap. He stared at it. She opened to the last page. His name sat there, large, circled twice, red. "Did you know it was her?" she asked. "Yes." "You called her defiant." "She was." "She smiled when she died." He looked away. "She bit off her own tongue before they took it," she said. "You want to know why?" "No." "So she couldn't speak your name." He closed his eyes. She tore the page out. I folded it once, then again. He opened his mouth to speak. She folded it one more time, shaped it, pressed the edges, bent the top, made it into a paper doll. She never learned to sew, she said. She didn't need to, he said. No, she said. She never had time. She stood. I walked to the fire's edge, set the doll down on a blackened stone. Now she's stitched, she said. He didn't speak. The wind picked up. The doll fluttered once, then lay still. He slept beside the tree line now. No roof, no quilt, just leaves for cover and an old coat that didn't close right. His cough came sharp and wet in the mornings. His eyes stayed shut longer than they used to. He looked like something the wind forgot. She brought him tea. He opened one eye. I tried to sit. Don't, she said. I'm fine. You're not. He pulled the coat tighter, fingers stiff. She set the tin cup beside him. You used to drink it hot, she said. Didn't have a choice. You still don't. He sipped, coughed again, spit into the dirt. She sat beside him. I used to wonder, she said. About what? What it felt like to stop being a child. He didn't answer. It's not one moment. It's pieces. He looked down. They said your mother died young, she said. She did. Have you ever sat beside her? Once. Say anything. No. Too late? Too scared? She nodded. He looked at the sky. Pale gray. You came back that night, she said. After they took me. I did. You walked past the barn. I saw your ribbon on the post. You said you'd come back. I meant it. You told me, I know. You didn't. I was a coward. She turned her head toward him. You picked someone else. I thought you were safe. I screamed. His hands trembled. I heard you, he said. You didn't move. I couldn't. You chose. I did. She nodded. No anger in it. Just the truth. You know what they did to me? She asked. No. Good. He closed his eyes. I used to wait at night, she said. In that place. Thought maybe you'd show up. Maybe with a blanket. Maybe with a knife. I should have. You didn't. He looked at her. You held my hand once, she said. I remember. I believed that meant something. It did. Not enough. No. She shifted on the ground. I ain't asking for an apology, she said. I know. Just the answer. He nodded. She looked at him. So why? He breathed in slowly. I looked at you, he said, and I saw someone that didn't need saving. She stayed still. I thought, if I saved the one who looked weakest, maybe no one would notice you. They noticed. I see that now. She reached out, cupped his face, fingers cold, firm. You heard me? She asked again. He nodded. She let go. I don't scream anymore, she said. I know. Don't get the voice for it. You have the thread. She stood, walked to the tree where her satchel hung, came back with something folded. She knelt, opened it across his lap. A patch, one single square, blank. What's this? He asked. For what you could have done. He stared at it. Do I stitch it? No. Then who does? No one. He touched it like it might bleed. She rose. Are you going somewhere? He asked. Yes. Where? Don't know yet. Will I see you again? Do you want to? Yes. Then maybe. She turned. He stayed seated. Thank you, he said. For what? For not letting me forget. She nodded, and then she walked, slow and quiet, back through the tree line, leaving only a cup, a cough, and the patch that stayed blank. The cabin was gone. Fire had taken it clean. Nothing left but scorched beams, a rusted kettle, and the nail where the lantern used to hang. The wind passed through the clearing like it had nothing left to knock on. She stayed. The sheriff retired without a word, gave up the badge, and took to carving birds out of cedar. His daughter came every Sunday with a basket of bread and tea leaves. The church reopened. The schoolhouse did too. No one asked about the girl who moved into the shed behind the old well. She kept the chair, the one with the cracked back. Set it near the ashes, facing east. She stitched it every morning, a red thread looped through her fingers, a soft hum in her throat. New girls came, quiet, tired, some with names, some with nothing. She didn't ask for their stories. She gave them fabric, needles, and silence. Start with what you remember, she said, and end where you wish it didn't happen. They stitched in circles, talked only when the thread broke. When it didn't, they hummed. One girl had a limp, one didn't speak. one stitched with her eyes closed. Each quilt had its own language: burnt ribbon, frayed collar, courthouse scrap, torn badge. She let them decide how to name it. She didn't finish them. In every quilt, one square stayed blank, always in the bottom corner, tightly hemmed but empty, and every quilt had one red thread, not stitched in, tied loose, folded between layers like breath. "Why red?" a girl asked. "So it bleeds," she said. One morning, the sheriff's daughter brought 2 cups of tea and a tin of honey. "Cold today," she said. The girl nodded. She stitched a patch of pale blue cotton. "That was mine," the daughter said, "from when I was 6. She gave it to me." The girl looked at her. "My mother," she said. "She saved it for years. She didn't forget." "No." The daughter hesitated. "Can I learn?" "You already did," the girl said. "You just haven't used it." That night, the girl walked to the graves behind the mill. 3 stones. Now, flat, simple. No names. Just stitches carved in. She laid one finished quilt across them. "Pull it smooth. Set a cup of tea beside the smallest stone." "Still warm," she whispered. She returned to the chair before dawn. A small child walked up the path with a bundle of cloth. Freckles across her nose. Hands too small to thread anything. The girl knelt beside her. "Whose is this?" she asked. The child pointed at the dress. "My sister's." "She's gone?" She stopped talking. The girl nodded. She unfolded the cloth, touched the seam. "She's still here." They stitched together until the sun tipped over the barn roof. The child leaned against her side. "Why's this square empty?" she asked. The girl ran her finger across it. "So someone remembers." She didn't say who. Didn't have to. At night, the chair creaked when no one sat in it. Sometimes she found thread pulled from the spool she never touched. Sometimes patches appeared that she didn't cut. She left them in. One morning, a folded note lay beside her needle box. She opened it. It read only, "She knew." She stitched it into a quilt. No border, no color. Just the paper and the silence around it. The girl never stopped humming, never raised her voice, never lit another fire. She hung the finished quilts on the old fence by the orchard. Let the wind lift them. Let the crows perch on the corners. Let the sun bleach the thread. "Is this one mine?" someone would ask. "If it speaks," she'd say. She stitched in the snow. She stitched through the rain. She stitched while babies cried and mothers wept and men stared at the ground like it might rise up and judge them. She stitched until the town changed, and even then, she kept stitching because the thread remained. She sat in the chair one last time, pulled a red length between her fingers, threaded the needle. One stitch, one story, always unfinished.